In this video, I'm going to talk about a couple of different ways to play an open D chord and why you might choose one over the other. Okay, so the different ways to play the D chord. When you watch other people play, sometimes you'll see them play with just one finger across 3 strings to play this D chord. And what I'm doing is I'm taking my index finger and I'm just putting it across the 3 high strings at the 2nd fret. Then I take my middle finger and I kind of put it on the 3rd fret of the B string between the high E and the G string. When you're first starting out, sometimes this can be a little bit difficult because your finger has a tendency to want to lean over on one of the other strings. To prevent that, remember to keep your thumb towards the back of the neck of the guitar. That will help keep your fingers more upright and make it easier to fret these chords. If your thumb starts to slip across the top, your fingers will actually start to bend over, and that's when you can run into problems where you have your finger hitting the other string. Now, this is just one way of playing this chord. But the traditional way of playing it is where you have 3 different fingers playing the different notes. The way that I typically finger it is I have my index finger on the G string at the 2nd fret. And then I take my middle finger and I put it on the high E string at the 2nd fret. And then I still have to kind of thread my ring finger between these 2 other strings. So it's important that you're maintaining good technique, that you're keeping your fingers as upright as possible. And it's the same chord. Now, why use this or why use this? Well, it depends on what you're playing. So if I'm going back and forth quickly from a couple of chords, let's say from an open A to a D, oftentimes it's easier to make that transition using this fingering, using just my one finger, because all I have to do going from the A is move my finger down 1 string on my index finger and then put my middle finger down. So there's my open A, there's my D. Now, I might want to use the other style if I'm doing some finger picking and want to throw in some different notes. And you hear a lot of players do this. James Taylor most commonly. You've probably heard the lick, that little kind of thing. And what he's doing is actually going from a D chord to a Dsus2, that's where we've taken the 3rd note out and replaced it with the 2nd, and a Dsus4. So basically what we're doing is we're taking the notes on that high E string and going from, in this case, an F sharp, and then changing that to an E for Sus2, or changing it to a G for a Sus4. Now, know that a lot of what James Taylor does, he uses a capo to do different keys. So that going to Carolina, I believe he has it at the 2nd fret, so it sounds more like this. And then he's doing some other walking down and more complex stuff, but you can use this shape in your regular playing. So if I'm playing and I'm strumming a D chord, I can do that movement where I'm using those 3 different notes on top of the D chord. Some of you older folks may remember that from Closer to Home, a song that came out in the early 70s. So these are just some different ways that you can play that open D chord. So when you're first starting out on the guitar, this is a way that you can kind of open up some of the sounds that you're able to do and make some of it more interesting as you move along. So that's the short video for today, and until next time, keep practicing.